Miss Pati. Time.
Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, the honorable judges, and good morning, fellow debaters. The motion today is this House believes that we should stop sending immigrant letters. And then, before I deliver my arguments, I will give you some definitions. Stop sending. Stop sending is stop to be concrete and direct to go on mission. Second is immigrant letters. Immigrant letter is the aggregate of all human physical and mental effort used in creation of goods and services to the other country. And then, in this case, we will stop sending immigrant letters who are uneducated and unskilled labor to the other country. And then, in this case, an uneducated labor refers to labor who never enter university or college. So, ladies and gentlemen, in the status quo nowadays, our country is sending all kinds of immigrant laborers. But we have to kind of laborers. First, we have educated people such as actor, architect, and etc. And then the other side is we have uneducated and unskilled worker. Ladies and gentlemen, you can see that many problems and many cases that happen because of that. So I, as the first speaker of affirmative team, will give you the reason why we should stop sending immigrant labor, and then my second speaker will give you deeper review, and then my third speaker will sum up and strengthen. So, ladies and gentlemen, I will give you reasons why we should stop sending immigrant labor. The first point is, we believe that we will send immigrant labor if they are skilled and educated. Why we will stop educated and skilled labor? Because they will be fine in another country. They will reach in another country. They will live happily in another country. Like Agnes Monica, Juta Slim, and then many architects that sent to the other countries such as Singapore, and then America, and etc. So, and then what's the impact of this? Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for us to show up Indonesia. It is time for us to show how nice and how wonderful. It is time for Indonesia to show how smart Indonesian people is. So ladies and gentlemen, so if we stop sending immigrant labor to the other country, our educated labor will appear. So it can make Indonesia proud to the other country. And then the second point is why we should stop uneducated people and unskilled labor. Ladies and gentlemen, we can see on television, on article, on internet, newspaper, there are so many cases that happen. There are so many problems that happen in Indonesia. And you know, the victim is made a cell phone that sent to the other countries such as Malaysia, and then Singapore, and etc. Many men that sent to French country. But that's true. Now there is a job training that is available, but in fact there are still many cases that happen. So we should stop uneducated people. We should stop unskilled labor to foreign country. So even we allow labor that ever enter to college or university. And then because of many problems that happen in Indonesia, that's the point. Many cases such as maids are hit by her employer, and then they have sentenced to be death penalty and etc. Because they have no education, because they have no skill, because they never enter college or university. So we will stop sending uneducated and unskilled labor. And then the third point is how uneducated and unskilled can send to the other country. A country should able to provide a job, a training job. A country should provide an education for unskilled and uneducated labor, so they can be educated, they can be skilled, so they can be sent to the other country, so they can compete with the others, so they can live happily in other countries. Not like we can see nowadays. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you once again that we will stop sending uneducated and unskilled labor to the other country, because many cases that happen in foreign countries, such as death penalty, they are hated by their employer and then etc. So, we are as a affirmative team believe that we should stop sending immigrant laborers who are uneducated and unskilled, and then in this case, uneducated labor is referred to people who never enter university or college. And then we are as an affirmative team, we are back to propose. Thank you.
The first speaker from the affirmative team spent 6 minutes 28 seconds. The first speaker from the affirmative team spent 6 minutes 28 seconds.
Now, I would like to invite the first speaker from the negative team. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ms. Natasha. Time.
Minister, we all know that it is the human right of every human in our country and in every world that we have the right to choose every job that we want, and it does not limit the place where we should choose our job. And it is written in our constitutional law of Indonesia that we have the right to choose any job that we want, ladies and gentlemen. So by stopping the immigrant laborers to go to other countries, ladies and gentlemen, it means that we have violated our own constitutional law, ladies and gentlemen. And for that, in the very first place, we have been apprehended, ladies and gentlemen. And ladies and gentlemen, before I move to my argument, I would like to give you some point of rebuttals for the affirmative side of the house. First of all, I would like to talk about how they give the parameter of uneducated people, ladies and gentlemen. Well, if you all know that in the current status quo that even though there are so many uneducated people in Indonesia, they still have a child, they have a spouse that has to be fed, has to give money to them. And what will happen if there is no available workforce in Indonesia, ladies and gentlemen, and they are still prohibited to go to other countries, ladies and gentlemen? What will happen? Their family will not have any kind of food, they will not be able to go to school, and it will make the situation become worse because the poverty is everywhere, and it will affect all aspects in Indonesia itself, such as not only economics, but they also will not be able to get a better education, ladies and gentlemen. Because even though the education is free in Indonesia, there are some private schools in Indonesia that those students still have to pay, ladies and gentlemen, and that is why uneducated people still need to get a job, ladies and gentlemen. And the second is, if yes, then maybe they need some kind of education to work. There's still a new solution for this. We can give them a new education, ladies and gentlemen. For example, if they cannot sew, we can teach them how to sew so that maybe if they want to be in an industry factory in other countries. They can be taught on how to work in that industry factory, ladies and gentlemen. So it doesn't mean by being uneducated people, it doesn't mean that you are useless in other countries or in your own countries, ladies and gentlemen. Now, ladies and gentlemen, maybe the affirmative side of the house talks about how the workforce of Indonesia is not safe because they are tortured by their owner, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I'll say that it's not the fault of sending the immigrant laborers, ladies and gentlemen. It is because the fault of the government to keep them safe. So the solution is not stopping to send the immigrant laborers, ladies and gentlemen, but by making the labor is safer, ladies and gentlemen. So if we make them safer, there won't be any torture to the labor, ladies and gentlemen. Now, ladies and gentlemen, they talk about how those who work are happy in their own countries. What kind of happy it is? I mean, it is very hard for them to look for a job that matches their skill. What kind of happy is that, ladies and gentlemen? So I think that if you don't let them go to other countries, it won't make them any happier in the first place. So now most of my argument, ladies and gentlemen. I think the society demands to get some part of our society demands to get a better job in other countries, ladies and gentlemen, because the workforce in their country, ladies and gentlemen, doesn't match their skill. For example, there are many workforce who go to Malaysia, who go to Japan, and so on and so forth, because their skill doesn't match in Indonesia, ladies and gentlemen. And in Indonesia itself, the amount of workforce is very little, ladies and gentlemen, and it doesn't match their skill, ladies and gentlemen. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk about the safety. They always talk about the safety, and the safety. Well, ladies and gentlemen, like mentioned before, one of our solutions, ladies and gentlemen, it's not stopping it, but the government should increase the quality of workforce in Indonesia, ladies and gentlemen, if they think that Indonesia needs to work there, ladies and gentlemen. And our other solution is that the government should increase the amount of safety of the immigrant laborers if they don't want the laborers to be tortured in our country, in their country, ladies and gentlemen. And ladies and gentlemen, and maybe the affirmative will talk about how the laborers are tortured there. Well, ladies and gentlemen, and Indonesians are not getting any benefit with that, ladies and gentlemen. Well, the Indonesia itself get some foreign exchange from sending workforce, ladies and gentlemen, and they are the hero of foreign exchange, ladies and gentlemen. So it's very clear that these immigrant laborers are making the Indonesia getting more benefit due to the foreign exchange that they get, ladies and gentlemen. So, ladies and gentlemen, and I would like to remind you of the right to choose the job, ladies and gentlemen, as that has been written in our constitutional law, ladies and gentlemen. So, ladies and gentlemen, they also have known about the consequences, and they are under consent when they agree to get the job in other countries, ladies and gentlemen. And ladies and gentlemen, they don't go to other countries because they hate Indonesia, ladies and gentlemen. They go to other countries because they really need that job, ladies and gentlemen. So by stopping the immigrant labor, it means that government doesn't cater down the need of these laborers to get another job, ladies and gentlemen. So ladies and gentlemen, because of this reason that I will explain, it's very clear that we are our head of this debate, and
the first speaker from the negative team spent 7 minutes 50 seconds. The first speaker from the negative team spent 7 minutes 15 seconds.
Now I would like to invite the second speaker from the SMA Negeri. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Ilham.
Honorable educator, fellow debater, and ladies and gentlemen, in this opportunity, we will talk about this House belief that we should stop standing immigrant labor, and as part of affirmative thing, we agree with this movement. We believe that our country is big enough to standing with our own feet. We believe that to answer the negative argument that it is human right to choose the job anywhere, it is also based on basic constitutional law. But we also have another rule stating that we need to protect our labor overseas, and we have failed to do that. Not because the country failed to provide the job, but because we have failed to give them education and skill. We believe that in many cases available on the media about the death penalty in Arab, in Australia, in Malaysia, it is all happened with the unskilled and uneducated workers. We believe that it is essential for us to send immigrant labor, but if only they are educated and skilled. We believe that we can increase our value as a man labor or as a country. We believe that our country is big enough to provide education needed and skill needed for every of our citizens, to make sure that we are standing with our own feet, to make sure that we are standing with the same page as another country. We need to repair our image as a country, which has gone down into a deep hole. We believe that our country is used to be a big country. We believe that unskilled and uneducated workers destroy what we have built since the Soekarno era, that we are a big country. We are irritated with some advertising in Malaysia which stating that robot is better than Indonesian made. We are called as Indon. We are used to be a big country, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see this fact as a big thing to be learned. We also believe that if the unskilled and uneducated workers have children need to be fed, we need to believe that we should create more industry, more job vacancy in Indonesia, not by passing our obligatory as a country to send them without any training, without any education to another country, but to provide the education needed, the skill needed, and to provide job vacancy. It is national obligatory to provide job vacancy to everyone, every of the citizens. We also believe that they are stating private school needs to pay, but we have the public school. In Kudus, it is free. We also have the scholarship in Bidik Misi and many other things. We need to increase the capacity. We need to push the government that we are ready for a next big leap for a better country to be sold in overseas, that we are a big country. We also believe that uneducated and skilled worker is useless, as the negative thing has said before, but we can make them useful by giving them education, by giving them skill they are needed to make sure that we are a big country. That's what we have said much more. And also, it is the fault of the government, because government can't keep them safe. We have tried every way to make sure that they are safe. We pay the bill, we pay the diya to Arab Saudi, but they are keep doing same mistakes every day, every night. Annually, we pay many labor overseas their fee, their bill. We believe that we can decrease those amount of bad situation by giving them right education and right skill to make sure that our image overseas is not bad as nowadays. We also believe, in order to answer the negative thing, that better job in another country provided with the skill and education do not matter. We believe that which case showing that another country serve better job to unskilled and uneducated workers. We have seen the death sentence. We have seen many our labor is being prisoned. Which case showing that our country provide better job than in Indonesia. Indonesia has a calm work rate. Indonesia has a better work rate because we are not pushed to be stressed every day. We have to show them that in another country it is such a different world. It is such much more different world, and many cases need to be learned by giving them skill they are needed once they are useful enough, when they are skilled enough, they can go overseas. We have seen many cases in Accra, in Jotaslim, and many other cases. We have seen that it is okay to send immigrants as long as they are skilled and educated. We already believe that our job vacancy in Indonesia is too little, but it is not one of the reasons why we should send immigrant labor. We can attract investors. We have many resources available in Indonesia as long as we work together. We can reduce the corruption as long as we want. We can build many infrastructure, many manufacture, many high labor industry. We believe that it is essential for everybody of us to get job in our own country. And also, the government should increase job vacancy as the negative thing has said before. We agree with this because this is the solution of our case, that we need to provide an increased job vacancy available in Indonesia in order to make sure that our country is prepared to compete. Just take an example of China. China nowadays have 1.2 billion population, or about 4 times larger than Indonesia. Do they send uneducated and unskilled workers? They even attract unskilled and uneducated workers. It is shown nowadays that everything is made in China. Every investor, every industry is built in China. We can do the same thing as China. We can show us that we are having the same image as China. We can control the world. We can dominate the world in trading. And we believe that according to World Bank data, that we are the 5th country if we can use our economic potential in 2030. We believe that it is essential for the government to develop and realizing our big potential, realizing our demographic potential. That's our first argument, that to increase our value as a country, we need to realize our potential. And also, we don't need such a devisa in such a bad way. We can get many devisa in better way, in safer way. We have natural resources, we have demographic bonus. We can create our own industry. We can attract investors from overseas everywhere. Mr. Jokowi has already attracted many investors in Indonesia. We believe that it is essential for us to support Mr. Jokowi in order to create infrastructure and manufacturing in Indonesia. We also believe that we are a big country. Our next argument is we need to maintain what we have seen as a bad image of Indonesia. We are used to be a big country. We have irritated by another country as an unskilled and uneducated worker. And as an affirmative thing, we have said one now that this house believes that we should stop sending immigrant labor, in this case, uneducated workers and unskilled. And that's all we are ready to focus. Thank you.
The second speaker from the affirmative team spent 7 minutes, 33 seconds. The second speaker from the affirmative team spent 7 minutes, 33 seconds.
Now I would like to invite the second speaker from the negative team. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ms. Sadia. The time is yours.
We believe that we're looking for a solution. We're not looking for another problem. We're not looking for a bunch of idealists that cannot see what's happening in the real world. We are trying to keep our citizens and fellow workers safe. But that doesn't mean we should stop them from doing what they do for the mere reason of image or safety. We cannot do that. We have to see the bigger picture. But before I move on to that, I would like to deliver some points of rebuttals. The first one is the second speaker, the affirmative side, said that Indonesia is big enough to provide education. Now let me ask you this. Indonesia has provided education for so long, but how many people that actually is educated? There are only a little. Even if we improve education, there are still majority of people that don't want any education at all. Should we force them to have education? They have their reasons, and that would be economy. They have needs, and we are a developing country. We cannot be compared like with China. They are an industry developed country. They have the sources. They have the industry to provide workforce and they can attract work laborers. But that doesn't mean that. And that means that we cannot be compared to them. We are a developing country. We have our own situation. Second of all, they keep talking about repairing image. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you about this. What happens if we are stopping immigrants to go work outside the country, and then there are these people, this minority or majority people, that they still need the job. Whatever happens, even though it's illegal, they still need the job. So they will do the other thing. They will be illegal immigrant laborers, and this will be a much worse image to have. The country, they don't support these people, they don't support them, they even go to the extent that they want to go illegal to only get a job. So which one is worse? For having uneducated people with skills that can be trained outside of the country, or having illegal immigrants outside the country and just proving that Indonesia doesn't care about people, like what they have been saying, they don't care. And then they said that we are trying to save them, we're trying to protect them. Now imagine this, let's keep on the case of illegal immigrant. If illegal immigrant goes on, how will they even try to protect them when they are not in the system at all? They won't have any chance to start having an attempt to actually protect them. Then what happens to those citizens that goes in illegal process? They don't want to, so does that mean that you don't want to, let's just say, take responsibility towards what will happen to them? And then they said that it's enough. Education in Indonesia is enough. But let me tell you this, when will it be enough? We need a job now. Then should we go to college for about 3 years and then we just go to outside of the country to have a job that we need it now? Then what's the solution for those 3 months, for those 3 years? Where will we get the money? What about their prosperity? They don't think about that, right? Okay, about job vacancy. Let me ask you this. What about those uneducated people that you say that cannot go to, cannot be an immigrant labor and so on and so far, and then you said that we can send only educated people. What about those uneducated people? How can they get a decent job inside of the country when they are uneducated? They need a job that doesn't require a college, a diploma. They need a job that doesn't care what education they get. They just need people, they just need a job that need them for who they are, for their workforce and so on and so forth. And about the visa, we don't care about the visa. We are we believe that the government is very capable of providing us. But we're talking about households because at the end of the day, poverty is still in Indonesia. Now moving on to my arguments, I want you guys to see the bigger picture. Economy. Imagine if we stop immigrant labor today. Can the government assure to provide them with jobs, as I said before? Can they guarantee that they have stability for a living? Or even if immigrant laborers go outside of the country, away from the family, they are still, even if they are away for immigrant laborers, even if they are away from countries, even though they are away from families, from the loved ones, they are still happy because they can still provide. They are heroes for their own families. That gotta be means something, right? And then, what about the children? Their children, the country's most future. They need money, so they won't starve. So they will get stationery for them to go to school. That's why we still need those immigrant laborers to go. We have to realize that this is reality. The government cannot save everyone, but everyone can save themselves by working for themselves. and government can only give them a chance to do so. So, these are the questions that keep popping in my head for economic impact. Next is the psychology impact. We all know that this unemployment matter strikes a lot of people, right? Not only in this country, but every developing country. Whether it's about not being able to provide it, or maybe it's because they are jobless. They just need the job. And we all know that lots of these unemployment cases ends with depression, and then this leads to several problems because they just cannot find a job that would accept them without any diploma and so on and so forth. So what happens? Criminals. We will have a bunch of criminals inside of society because they just don't have any money and they have to get an income from somewhere, right? So they become criminals. And we have to know that we are looking for prosperity. The government's obligation is to provide us with prosperity. And so that is why we believe that until the end of the debate, we beg to oppose.
Second speaker from the Legislative team spent 7 minutes 40 seconds. Second speaker from the Legislative team spent 7 minutes 40 seconds.
Now I would like to invite the third speaker from the SMA Negeri. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Miss Inoka. Time is yours.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, all the judges and all my friends here. So I'm as the third speaker of the affirmative team will say that we are with these motions. This House believes that we should stop sending immigrant laborers, and in these conditions, the immigrant laborers is the uneducated, unskilled, and not enrolled to the university or college. And then, ladies and gentlemen, before I give some facts to strengthen our team's appearance, I will give some regrets related to the first and the second speaker of the immigrant team. So, ladies and gentlemen, the negative team said that in Indonesia, many people who are uneducated. That's why the negative thing said that's why we have to deliver to all citizens in Indonesia and make the citizens to work to the other country. But ladies and gentlemen, that's why many people are uneducated. That's why we have to create all the citizens in Indonesia become people who are educated. So we can send the immigrant laborers, and in this condition, the immigrant laborers is educated people, not the uneducated people. And ladies and gentlemen, our country Indonesia is a developing country, so we can make our country Indonesia would be same as China. But ladies and gentlemen, we have to start it first. It's like the proverb that a good beginning is half battle. We have to know that we have to start it now. We have to make the peoples in Indonesia become educated. And then about the illegal immigrant laborers, if they are illegal, so they have to be trapped. That's why, because they against the law, and we are as the affirmative team, we have to enforce law that we can deliver the citizens of Indonesia to work to the other country who are educated, not for the uneducated people. And then the questions: how to keep their prosperity if we stop sending immigrant laborers. But ladies and gentlemen, we can keep our prosperity by strengthening the job vacancy in Indonesia, by strengthening the education in Indonesia. Then after they are good enough in education sectors, they can be delivered to the other country. So we shouldn't stop sending immigrant laborers. We We should stop sending immigrant laborers in this condition. We should stop the unskilled and uneducated people. And then, ladies and gentlemen, and then I will give some facts to strengthen our team's arguments. For example, there are so many people in Indonesia. There are so many people from Central Java, from the East Java that would be delivered to, for example, Malaysia, Singapore, and then in Arab Saudi. But ladies and gentlemen, we have to see the reality that students and fans. I have been read from the Tribune News and then Kompas. Many immigrant laborers from Indonesia would be sentenced by death just because of little mistakes, ladies and gentlemen, and they are accused. They are behaved like animals, and just because of little mistakes. So, because seeing the reality, because we know the reality, that's why we should stop sending the immigrant laborers or uneducated workers in these conditions, and we have to strengthen our education, our job vacancy first in our country, Indonesia. Then all the laborers can be delivered. And then there are so many people in Indonesia who are educated enough and then to go to the other country. For example, Joe Taslim, they have made a good relation with the other actors, and they are skilled enough for doing the acting in the other country. And then, yeah, we don't need to stop sending immigrants labor. We don't need to stop sending immigrant laborers like Joe Taslim, right? We have to stop just for the uneducated worker, because it will bring more harms than good. And then, for example, with Joe Taslim, for example, they can develop their they can sing in the other country, and then Mariana, they can build $1 million per year. The income is $1 million per year. So it's not a needle in a haystack for our country, Indonesia, if we stop sending immigrant laborers just for, as strengthened again, just for the uneducated workers. And then Agnes Monica, she works in Los Angeles, and then she made the good correlations with the other singers. So ladies and gentlemen, let's hear
We get that you said that about every talented people, but what about those who are not talented?
Yeah, that's the people who are not talented enough. That's our two solutions. We can make the uneducated and untalented people to be talented people, but we're not as soon as possible to send them to the other country, but we have to strengthen their ability in Indonesia first. Yeah, that's the answer. And then, dear ladies and gentlemen, if we continue sending the immigrant labor in this condition is unskilled and uneducated labor, it seems like if we are the parents, we will let our child to go outside in a liar circumstance and let them die without giving them the education first. So, ladies and gentlemen, I, as the third speaker of the affirmative team, will say that this House believes that we should stop sending the immigrant laborers, and in these conditions, the uneducated workers or unskilled will enter to the university or college. But by strengthening the ability of the citizens in our country first. So we're back to act propose. Thank you.
Speaker from the affirmative team and 7 minutes 20 seconds. The third speaker from the affirmative team and 7 minutes 20 seconds.
Now, I would like to invite the third speaker from the negative team. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Miss Sophie.
Ladies and gentlemen, population in our society has grown so fast, while the job vacancy doesn't fulfill the society demand a job which want the appropriate job, and the only choice they got is like going abroad. So going abroad for them is the urgency they got. So the government cannot stop sending immigrant laborers if the government itself doesn't provide the appropriate enough job for the society. So ladies and gentlemen, as the third speaker of the negative team side of the House, I will deliver to you some point of rebuttal towards the affirmative team side of the House. I will deliver to you the rebuttal of this debate into two places. The first is in the level of justification, and the second is in the level of impact. In the level of justification, I will deliver to you that my rebuttal towards the first speaker from the affirmative team side of the House that already stated that it's time to Indonesia to show that Indonesia is good enough. They are talking repetitively about the skill that Indonesia can show to the world about how smart is Indonesia and so on and so forth. But here we are discussing is what we are discussing in this debate is not just about the image that Indonesia will get from the other country, but our laborers' life. It's not their choice to go abroad for the job, but the problem is that the job in our Indonesia doesn't enough to fulfill their needs and doesn't fit to their skill. They're repetitively talking about we should sending the skilled enough immigrant to go abroad and so on and so forth, but here which the reality that you see the image from Indonesia that the world see for Indonesia, or the poverty that our laborers suffer in Indonesia, ladies and gentlemen. So this is the urgency that is discussing in this debate from the very first place. So, ladies and gentlemen, we can imagine if there is a lot of people in Indonesia who cannot get any job and cannot go abroad. Yes, poverty. And do you still think that it's more important to keep the image for Indonesia rather than upholding our economic, ladies and gentlemen? And in the level of impact, I'll to you my point towards the second speaker of the negative team for the positive team side of the House that said that Indonesia should provide the national education and industry. They're talking like they're not gonna send the immigrant abroad if they're not educated enough or so on and so forth. But yeah, the low education in Indonesia is bad, ladies and gentlemen, but stopping them to go abroad is worsened. Why? Because the reason our immigrant going abroad is because it's urgent for them to get a job, because they need to feed the children, they need to they have a family in Indonesia that should get the money, and the fact that they are uneducated is not only our government fault at the very first place, but because there are certain people who don't need this education because of the urgent situation, and they cannot wait for the better education which the government going to provide in Indonesia, ladies and gentlemen. So how long will they suffer with their poverty until they are educated enough to go abroad, ladies and gentlemen? And I'll deliver to you my point of rebuttal towards the third speaker of the affirmative team side of the House that said, third speaker of the affirmative team side of the House responds to us that a lot of uneducated people in Indonesia, so we should send them abroad, is our team statement. But they keep talking about the educated person repetitively, ladies and gentlemen, but here we are talking about the urgency that the society suffered. And we're talking about the nowadays situation from the very first time in this debate, ladies and gentlemen. And how about the safety of our labor itself? It's not that the government lose control with those immigrants and the cases that happen in in the world, ladies and gentlemen. But here we're also watch them. We're also protect them with the law that the government provide to the laborers, ladies and gentlemen. And last, I will deliver to you my conclusion of this debate. In this debate, ladies and gentlemen, our team had already successfully stated in two places. The first is in the level of justification, and the second is in the level of impact. In the level of justification, we had successfully delivered to you about the social demand that to get a better job in another country is our society high demand, and sending immigrant abroad is the way the government to supply their needs, ladies and gentlemen. And from the second level is the impact level in this debate, ladies and gentlemen. The first is about the psychological impact. That we all know this is this depression, how the depression they got from the society and it would lead to several problems like criminals and so on and so forth, ladies and gentlemen. So, ladies and gentlemen, until this end of the debate, we still believe that our house needs to uphold human rights in choosing job and to uphold the economic sides in our society rather than just the image of another word things of us, ladies and gentlemen. So that is why we beg you to oppose. Thank you very much.
From the negative team stand, 6 minutes 37 seconds. The third speaker from the negative team stand, 6 minutes 37 seconds.
Now, I would like to invite the reply speech from the negative team. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ms. Sadia. Time is yours.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for today's debate. Let's give an applause for today's debate. And thank you for this debate, also for the affirmative team and the negative team as well. I would like to now deliver what's actually happening in this debate. I will deliver it in two levels. The first one is in the level of justification, and the second is in the level of impact. First one is in the level of justification. We are talking about whether or not we should send uneducated people outside. Until the end of the debate, it's still going on, really hot actually. The affirmative side of the house said that it is to show, we have to send uneducated people because it is to show other countries that our people are better, that Indonesian people have ability. But the negative side of the house succeeded to say that uneducated people need jobs that doesn't need diploma and certain skill to provide them and their family. So we're talking about the comparison that the affirmative side of the house said that it is better to send educated people for the more image of Indonesia, when the negative side of the house is explaining that we need it because we're talking about prosperity, not only a mere image. And that is why we believe that the negative side of the house have the upper hand. And then the second, the affirmative side of the house explained to us that we have to give them education for the future. But the second speaker of the negative side of the house said that because we're talking about now, we're not talking about whether or not Indonesia should educate the people for the future. We're talking about what should we do now, and the second speaker already mentioned that. And then moving on to the level of impact, the impact that has been explained from the affirmative side of the house is about a broken image. That Indonesia have uneducated people, that Indonesia doesn't have educated people with good skills and with good English, and that they have to be educated and so on and so forth. But I believe that the level of impact that has been brought by the negative side of the house is more severe, and that is the need of occupation to provide the living and to provide and to sustain the prosperity of Indonesia itself. And that is why I believe that the impact, the first level of impact has the upper hand on the negative side as well. And then another statement that has been provided by the affirmative side of the house is sending an uneducated people will be unsafe. The impact will be unsafe for them because they will be fooled, they will be manipulated, and so on and so forth. Because like they said in Arabian, so on and so forth. But the first and the third speaker of the negative side of the House successfully rebut with that this is the government's obligation. That it is the if they say that sending immigrant laborers to outside of the country is unsafe, then that means that they have failed to provide. They have failed to conduct their own obligation. Then the first speaker and the third speaker of the negative side of the House successfully delivered that. And for that, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that we actually deserve to win this debate because we have the upper hand. We are talking about a more severe, urgent thing that has been happening in our reality. So, ladies and gentlemen, dear judges, I beg you to see which from both of us is the real realist and which one is just a mere idealist. Thank you so much for your attention.
The reply speaker from the negative team spent 3 minutes 53 seconds. The reply speaker from the negative team spent 3 minutes 53 seconds.
Now, I would like to invite the reply please from the affirmative team. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Ilham. The time is yours.
Honorable Educator, fellow debater, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. In this opportunity, I will talk about this motion. This House believes that we should stop standing immigrant labor, and as a part of affirmative team, we agree with this motion. In this opportunity, I would like to replay all of the argument of the affirmative team and the negative team and compare all. We believe that our country is enough. Our country is enough with the distraction of another country. We believe that our country is big enough for such a great thing. We believe that it is essential for our country to provide education needed, the skill needed, which the negative team thinks that the urgency of them to get a job in another country is urgent. But we believe that education is much more urgency that those are sent to another country than being jailed, being death sentence. We believe that it is essential for everybody to get a job, and it is obligatory for our country to provide job vacancy, not by passing those obligatory to another country, not by sending them without any training and education, as the status quo has provided nowadays. That there are so many poverty, there are so many death penalty, which make our country has a bad image. We believe that it is essential for our country with such a big natural resources, with such a big attraction from the investor. We believe that we can be a great country. Sukarno have already stated that we believe that education is already provided. In Pati, in Kudus, we have free schools. We have the scholarship in Bidik. We have the preparation needed to be a big country. We are a developing country. So does China. We have to state that because we need to attract immigrants who is not educated and not by sending our labor there. We believe that our economic potential is too great to be wasted. We believe that our country can be fifth country, the biggest country. We also believe that the urgency of getting welfare, which have stated by the negative team, we can provide it better, we can provide the welfare better by providing education needed better. We have seen that the payment of those educated workers is much higher than the uneducated worker. We believe that it is essential for us to give them education needed. We also believe that we should have a big image. We should have a good image as a big country, but the negative team believe that we are good enough right now. We are good enough to be irritated by another country. We are good enough to be called as Indon. We are good enough to be called that robot is better than us. We believe that it is essential for us to show the world once more that we are educated, not by just maintaining our image, but truly maintaining our citizens by giving them proper education and proper job that can be created in our own country. We can stand with our own feet. It is such a concept of predicament that Sukarno has said before, that our country actually has a big potential that every colonialism era such as the Dutch and the Japanese has seen before. And also, it is obligatory for our country, which has stated by the second speaker before, that Indonesia has obligatory to provide job vacancy, to provide education, and to provide security, which we are failing right now, not because the government misuse, not because the government abuse, but because the misunderstanding of the unskilled and uneducated. They can communicate, as we have stated before, they can communicate in Arab, they can communicate in English. It means they can do their job very well like that in another country, and we believe that it is essential for us to maintain those workers, to give them education. What is wrong with giving education? We can provide it right now. It is not just a theory, but we are doing it right now. We believe that our country is big enough to attract investors. We have such massive natural resources, and we also believe that we can provide family welfare, not by sending them uneducatedly and unskilledly to another country, but to provide them education first and creating them into a better person, into a better citizen, and make our country into a better country. We have said once more that we believe that our country is big enough for the people. We also believe that human right is about to choose the job anywhere, but we also have the rules that stating that it is also to protect them. It is also to protect them for the death penalty and the abuse of another country that have misled Indonesia into a bad image. We have seen many death penalty that Indonesia should hold more dia paying with our national budget. We believe that it can be prevented with providing well education. We also believe that this house believes that we should stop sending immigrant, uneducated workers and unskilled labor to another country. Ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to propose. Thank you.
Reply speaker from the affirmative team spent 5 minutes 30 seconds. Reply speaker from the affirmative team spent 5 minutes 30 seconds.
Now the debate comes to an end.